What's up, Mets fans? Welcome to a new episode of Teens and Queens podcast. Mets spring training games are underway. We'll be recapping a few of the games that they've already played, and going over our players of the week and our performers of the week. So, starting off, the Mets are currently 3-2 in spring training. First game against the Marlins, they lost 2-0. Second game, they beat the Astros 2-0. After that, they lost to the Cardinals 14-9. Next game, beat the Nats 8-4. And today, while we're filming this against the Astros, they beat them 6-1. So, a few things to point out. Different plays that happen. Obviously, the first game, Mets got shut out, so there's not really like a big play that really happened. The second game, Marcus Stroman had a great start on the mound. Jeff McNeil and Albert Almora Jr. went deep. Obviously, the Cardinals versus Mets game, 14-9 that they lost. There are a few spots, but not really like a big thing. Against the Nats, 8-4. Peter Alonso hit a grand slam oppo, absolute nuke shot. Then against today, Mets beat the Astros 6-1. Jacob DeGrom had a great start on the mound, his first of spring, and Dom Smith is an absolute tank. So, this is just a recap of the games that happened this week, and now we'll be, really covering who our performers of the week are, our players of the week. So, who wants to go first since I did the recap of the week?
I'll go first. Definitely a great first week to have baseball back. It's a blessing to have baseball back. Scheduled time too, maybe like a day or two late, but ultimately we're back right on schedule and we got baseball back. So I'm just glad to see that first of all. And it's great to see all these new guys in a Mets uniform. We got James McCann, Francisco Lindor, Trevor May, Aaron Loup. We haven't seen Carlos Carrasco in a spring training game yet, but hopefully that's soon. He came down a little delayed due to medical issues, but he's already in throwing bullpens and all that stuff. So hopefully we'll see him soon. But overall, seeing all these new guys in the Mets uniform, all these guys we've been talking about all offseason, all these acquisitions, it's great to see all of our old guys mixing with the new guys in the clubhouse. So it's definitely fun to see them there. But overall, good first week for Mets baseball, 3-2, and I just like the way we've been playing baseball so far. And going to my awards, if we're doing that already, we're my first award. I'd be like my MVP or whoever's been playing the best of the week. I'm gonna go with Kevin Pillar. He's probably been our best bat this week. He has a couple extra base hits. I think he's the highest average as we're filming this. He's been pretty solid in the field, and overall he's just proving himself that he could be the first guy off the bench for us this year. Obviously we have Nimmo in center field, but he's just been proving a lot for me. So that's my player of the week for the Mets this week.
My player of the week for the Mets is Pete Alonso. I'll give you a few reasons why, though. First of all, back in 2019, when he was originally trying to make the team, he had a dominant spring training run. He was absolutely mashing baseballs. Then last year, when he came to camp, he struggled quite a bit, and even in summer camp as well. This year, if he gets off to a good start in spring training, the spring training starts stats, they don't really matter that much. You just want to see how guys look at the plate, stuff like that, how they're pitching to guys. But Pete's looked really good at the plate so far from what we've seen. As Bubba said earlier, he had a grand slam against the Nats the other day. Got a few hits today, so he's looked really good. Hopefully, can continue this throughout the rest of spring training towards the end and carry this into the season because Pete Alonso's, we're going to need him to be a pretty big bat for us this year, and probably not replicate what he did in 2019 because that'd be pretty hard for him to do, but provide us some power in the middle of our lineup this year.
So both these guys pick, great players for their, hitter of the week. We'll be doing hitter of the week, pitcher of the week, throwing in a few other guys who have really been, shown out so far in spring, and maybe some prospects thrown in there who've, made an impact so far. So to back up what those guys were saying, I'll just throw out the stats for now because I have them down. Pilar has an 800 average, an RBI, and a 2.257 OPS so far. Pete's hitting 333, a home run, obviously the grand slam, 5 RBIs with a 1.289 OPS. And now onto my player of the week, I have Brandon Nimmo. He's been playing really good. Brandon Nimmo is underrated, top 4 center fielder. He's hitting 714 with a leadoff home run that was laced the other day, RBI, and a 2.036 OPS. So these guys are mashing baseballs right now. There's a few other guys that we probably might mention later in the show who have been hitting good, but for now, these are our top three hitters of the week. So I'll put this on to one of the. I'll send
For
this
my
over to one of the.
pitcher of the week, I really like the way Marcus Stroman pitched in his first start of the spring. He pitched 2 perfect innings. He switched it up a little bit. He showed his creativity of his pitches. He didn't overpower anyone with a fastball, but he definitely showed some off speed, which is pretty good to see with a pitcher that doesn't have a plus fastball. He's always going to have to rely on his secondary pitches, and he definitely showed that in his first start of the spring. So it was really good to see that with Marcus Stroman. He looked very confident up there. He looked very calm up there as well. Showed some energy, and overall, I think he pitched great. And hopefully, that translates into the season in 2021 this year.
So for my pitcher of the week, I'm going to go with a little bit of a sleeper. I'm going to go with Tom Windle, who is a non-roster invitee this year. We signed him to a minor league deal. He let up a run, I believe, in his appearance against the Cardinals, but that was due to poor defense. Really, he had an error behind him, and there was some bad defensive positioning in the outfield, so it kind of roughed him up a little bit. But when he came in, he looked really good. Got a few strikeouts. His pitches looked really good, and he could be an underrated piece for this Mets team potentially this year. If he'll probably start in Syracuse this year, but maybe if we go down with some injuries or some guys underperform, we could look to Tom Windle to pitch out of the bullpen this year if he could keep pitching like he did in his one appearance this spring so far. So yeah, that's my pitcher of the week this week, and I'm interested to see what he does for the rest of spring training.
So obviously, Tim named Marcus Stroman, who had a great first start. He's back on the hill. Tomorrow while we're filming this, when it gets out, he probably already been pitched already. So, for mine, my pitcher of the week, I actually have 2 because one of them wasn't named yet, and the other one was kind of a sleeper for me too. Jacob deGrom, obviously best pitcher in baseball, got the win. 2 innings pitched. Worked around the 2-out walk. I think it was a 1-out double today against the Astros. 3 strikeouts, all in the second inning, I'm pretty sure. So obviously deGrom dominated again. And then for my sleeper, I have Trevor Hildenberger. 1 game, 1 innings pitched. He did have some, the bases were kind of some trouble on the bases, but he did strike out 3 in that 1 inning. So that's a guy that I probably have as, like Mike said with Windle, a sleeper pick for my pitchers of the week. So
yeah, some players that have not got off to the founder starts during the spring training. Dellin Betances, he lit up a few runs, including the home run he let up against the Nationals, but I would not be too worried. There was some bad defense, which led to ultimately to let these runs. So I wouldn't be too concerned about him, but ultimately he has been a little shaky this spring. And Jacob Barnes, he had a pretty shaky outing at the beginning of the spring. But yeah, he let up a couple of runs early on. And some position players that haven't got off to the hot starts. Francisco Lindor still currently looking for that first hit, but he's been making pretty solid contact with the ball. Not too worried about him. Jeff McNeil, he's got off to a little bit of a slow start outside of that home run he had. And Jonathan VR, all the guys that off to slow starts. But as we all know, we're only 5 games in. Spring training doesn't matter as much as the regular season. These guys should pick it up. They're all established veterans, or not veterans, but they all have established themselves as good ball players at the major league level. So I wouldn't be too worried about all these guys. But overall, those are my guys that I think got off to some shaky starts, but I think they'll pick it up very soon.
So for some guys that have got off to a really nice start in spring who we haven't mentioned yet, got to be JD Davis, 375 average, RBI, and 750 OPS. And, the catcher for the Mets, James McCann, all-season acquisition, 429 average with a 1.071 OPS. So both those guys are, we didn't really overlook them, but we just had like 3 other guys for our players of the week. But those guys are definitely not guys to, kind of overlook this spring. Going into prospects of the week, I'll probably have to go with Ronnie Mauricio in 8 at-bats, 375 average and an RBI. Brett Beatty in 4 at-bats, 500 average, 2 RBIs, including an opposite field 2-run 2 RBI double. So now both those guys are really showing off. Pete Armstrong had a stand-up triple today against the Astros. Might have been able to score honestly, but never really want to test it. I know it's spring training, but you could give other guys opportunities that could really show off in the spring. So I mean, these guys have really been playing good. It's really nice to see the young guys playing. I think Mark Vientos is having a really good spring so far too. So nice to see these guys playing well. And if anyone has to say anything, they can.
Yeah, it's good to see our younger guys in our farm system producing against or making some good numbers against major league talent. Some of these guys aren't even in their 20s yet, and they're putting up pretty solid stats against major league pitching, which is pretty good to see. This doesn't mean they'll be ready for this year, but definitely in a couple of years they should be all ready to go, and that's our future right there. So it's always good to see some of our future produced during spring training, a time where we get to see them against major league ready pitching. So that's what I saw out of our prospects this week, and hopefully we can keep it up. Make sure to keep an eye on those names Bubba mentioned earlier: Pete Crow Armstrong, Ronnie Mauricio, Mark Vientos, all those guys. Make sure you keep an eye on them, and maybe you'll see their name on your screen in a couple of years.
One thing I'd like to mention is like Mark Vientos. He's looked really good, like not hitting wise, but his discipline at the plate. I think he's drawn about 4 walks so far in his early spring training, which is pretty impressive, as he didn't really have any like live action games last year since really there was no minor league season because of COVID. So that really impressed me. He's going against some good talent, and yeah, showing plate discipline this early in his career is something big, and it's a really important aspect, as we've seen before. Guys like Ahmed Rosario, who's a top prospect, we're all expecting him to be the next star shortstop, but in the majors he showed a lack of plate discipline, barely drew walks, which is a really important aspect of hitting. Even though it may not be as exciting as a base hit or a home run, walking is still really important. So having guys develop, not just Mark Vientos, but prospects in general, develop good plate discipline and on base skills is going to be really important towards building future offense.
Yeah, definitely something now with that. You can't teach plate discipline, so this is something he learned at a young age, and hopefully it's something he can translate to the major league level. So guys like Brandon Nimmo, they've been developing that all throughout their minor league career, and now they're one of the most he's had one of the highest on base percentages the last couple of years. So that just shows you how valuable a player can be just by getting on base. As Mike said, it's not as exciting as seeing a player drive a ball 400 feet, but it could just be just as important.
So for a little random topic right here, play of the week, I'll probably go with Pete Alonso's grand slam. Worst play of the week, TikTok star fake James Cash dropping a fly ball home run on the berm the other day, but he did avenge himself. He got the Dom Smith home run ball. So if fake James Cash is watching this, tough luck on the first one, good job on the second. So
shout out to fake James Caps. We'll get him on the podcast one day.
Yep. And one final topic to talk about. The question that's been going in the spring training is who's going to be our 5 starter. Right now, we have nothing to talk about on that topic right now. We've seen Jordan Yamamoto pitch. We've seen David Peterson pitch so far. They both pitch great. We can't really make a decision yet. Still early. Still need to see guys like Joey Lucchesi and all these other guys. So on that topic, there's nothing much to pick and choose out of those 2 guys for that final spot going into opening day. But yeah, it's good to see all of our depth pitchers producing and doing well during spring training. And with that, I believe that's all the time we have for today's podcast. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, and just make sure you get watch some spring training games this week. Mets baseball is back. We have to be appreciative for it. We got a brand new, exciting team to watch. So if you have not, just turn on Mets game, watch the Mets play if you haven't already. And if you guys enjoyed the podcast, make sure to follow us on our social medias linked in the description, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube where you're watching it right now. So have a good day, guys. Let's go Mets. See ya.